seeing a lot of that. Hello, everybody.
Record button. Perfect. So we are live. Just a couple of housekeeping things just before we get started. First and foremost, I see the chat. Please continue to do that. So those of you that are on the call, please drop in chat the areas that you work. We'd love to get some referrals going. So please feel free to jot that down or to drop your info in the chat. I'm Sydney Seymour. I'm the regional technology trainer for the region with Keller Williams. I haven't had the opportunity to meet you guys. Thanks so much for being here. And I see we've got like tons of training rooms that are on here as well today. So I'm so excited. I love that some market centers are hosting this in the training room. I dropped this in chat previously. I'll drop it in again. We are recording this, and then this will be available on our YouTube channel for the region. So I dropped the link to that in chat. I'll drop that in there again, just so you guys have that. And then I also dropped in chat our Facebook page. So feel free to go and follow that. That's where we'll put any upcoming training that we're having at a regional level. So if you guys want to make sure that you're attending that. So I'll drop both of those in there periodically. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go ahead and it's only going to be awkward for 2 seconds. I'm going to spotlight all of our panelists. So Jay, you're coming up first on my screen. So you're going to be the first spotlight all by yourself, but then others are going to join you. So just
Oh, wow.
1 second. We're going to add another spotlight. I'm just dropping everybody in here. Hopefully not missing anybody. And spotlight. Hopefully there's not a limit to spotlight. There is not. Okay. Am I missing anyone that is on the panel today? I don't believe so. And I just want to point out, Brittany, I had to make sure that I was spotlighting the right one because there is also a Keller Williams OBX Brittany fan club that is on the call as well. So, so we've got a really nice fan club here as well. So
in the kitchen.
Yeah, you're all of you. I hope you can all feel the love from your market center. So first and foremost, I just want to thank you guys for being here and agreeing to be a part of this panel. And those of you watching, I literally reached out to them. Their team leaders recommended them and said, would you be able to do this? They all said, yes, absolutely, would love to. Thank you so much. So I just love all of you. And thank you so much for really leading with your heart and coming from contribution. We so appreciate you. So I'm going to just go around and we'll have you just maybe introduce yourself first, how long you've been in the business, and honestly, any production numbers that you would care to share, completely up to you. So Jay, I will start with you first.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm Jay Gray with the Myrtle Beach Market Center. I've been with KW since 2014. I was a dual career agent for a while in Pennsylvania before moving here to the beach 4 years ago to jump into real estate full time. And since then, I've held some leadership roles within the market center, from PC coach to interim team leader for quite a while, and really haven't been full-time 100% in production until January of 2020, which was a super exciting time, I guess. Last year, did about 42 transactions for $12 million, 55% of which were about 55% were buyers, 45% were sellers. This year, already have about 30 transactions closed with about 12 million in production. So it should be a pretty good year and keep the momentum going.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to jump to Kamisha next. You're next on my screen. So I'm going to jump to you.
I am Kamisha Brown with Keller Williams Points East here in Greenville, North Carolina. Been in the business for 5 years. Actually started in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and moved to Greenville 2018, October, I believe. So 3 years here in Greenville, North Carolina. Last year, I did almost 50 transactions. About 36 or 37 of those were buyers, solo agent, about 10 million in sales. And I have a goal this year to do about 12 million.
Love it. Thanks for being here. And I love the sign behind you. Love that message. And let's see who I have. Sharer, I've got you next on my screen. Thanks so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thanks much. I'm Sharer Dale of the Sharer Dale team in Aiken, South Carolina. I've been I've been licensed for 38 years. I was 18. My mom was an agent, and I've been with Keller Williams in Aiken about a year and a half now. I have a team of 6 of us, 5 other licensees, and an office manager / listing coordinator. One of the agents is at my transaction coordinator. Last year we did just over 40 million. This year we're goal to do 50 million. Year to date, we've done just about 20 or so million, but 26 on the books, just pending. Our goal is about 120 transactions. Last year we just did over 100. Year to date, again, we're just over the 50-57 mark. And really ironically, all of my team members, as my career has always been, is kind of 50-50 buyers versus listings. I love buyers, but I think if you list, you last. And so I try to always convey that to my team. We specialize in luxury sport equestrian properties. If anyone knows Aiken, it's a big equestrian community, but we service, golf, a lot of retirees. And a lot of the girls on my team are younger than myself, and they're techie, and it's great. But been loving Keller Williams and been very supported there, and just diving in here. So,
Awesome.
thanks much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to jump over to you, Teresa, next. Good morning.
Hey, Teresa Blackburn. I'm with Keller Williams Realty Elite in Winston-Salem, and I've been with Keller Williams since 2015. I started my own team in 2020. Went from 2 to now I have 6 agents and 2 wonderful admin. So we're growing fast. Our numbers are changing quickly. I think our goal last year was 75, and I had 2 new agents and myself for most of that year, and we came pretty close to that. We landed in the 60s. This year our goal is 120, and I've added 2 agents since we set that goal. So we're at about 70 now, and hoping to get close to that. I'm terrible at remembering production. I'm literally like the worst at it. I'm so unit focused. So I'm not even going to try, but it's been good. And we recently started our own mega agent office. So we've spent a lot of just like growth and really feet on the ground, building our brand this year.
Love it. We'll always take units. Don't worry about bringing anything else. You're good. And thank you so much for being here. I'm going to jump to Brittany. You are next on my screen. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brittany Johnston. I am a lead buyer specialist on one of the top teams here in the Outer Banks. I got licensed in 2019, January 1st, essentially. Worked the first year by myself as a solo agent. And then just before COVID hit, I was offered a position to join a team. In 2021, I closed out just shy of 16 million with 26 units. And then in 22, right now, year to date, I'm closing in on 6 million. With 11 units and another 42 million in my pipeline, currently expanding my knowledge into the list side. So I primarily do buyers of about 90-10 buyers to sellers. So I'm very excited to be here.
Perfect. Thank you. We're excited to have you. And how about yourself, Brett? You are next on my screen. Welcome.
Yes, I'm Brett Winter. I work out of the South Park office in Charlotte. I am on a team. I'm part of the Sugar Realty Group. I started about 3.5 years ago. I did my first year on my own before I joined a team. And last year I did 49 units, which equaled about 20 million in volume. This year I've done 30 units and I'm about at 15 million. So off to a good start, hoping to keep that rolling, but we shall see.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for the intro. This is a well-equipped panel for probably any topic that we would throw your way. Today, we're going to be talking about buyers and really, how are you? A lot of you are representing the vast majority of your clients are buyers. And so maybe just some things that you're doing differently, some takeaways around that. So I know we've got some questions. We can absolutely make this as conversational as possible. And then for those of you attending, I've got chat open. So I'll continue to monitor that. So if you have questions or we want to dive deeper into anything, please feel free to drop that in the chat, and then we'll definitely have time at the end. So if anybody has questions, we can definitely do that as well. And then a reminder that we are recording this and it'll be on our YouTube channel, which I'll drop in chat again. So let's dive right in. We're talking about really bulletproofing the transaction when you're representing buyers. So the first question that I just want to hear from whoever would like to take it is, what service do you provide buyers that sets your business apart? So what are some maybe little things that you are doing in your business or representing buyers that you find are setting yourself apart that maybe other agents aren't doing? Would anybody like to take that one first? Yes, please.
Okay. So the Myrtle Beach market is obviously somewhat unique and probably shares quite a bit with Brittany. And I think the things that I've been doing in our market are also kind of expanding into maybe markets that aren't just secondary home vacation markets. And I think out of the pandemic, the virtual showings have been a super solid tool. In our market, you know, we have people who are moving from all over the country. They're in Colorado, California, New Jersey, New York, wherever they may be. And these buyers need boots on the ground. You know, they're looking at a map or a Google map, and they're not necessarily understanding where these things are that they're looking for or what type of things we have to offer. So I think, one, you have to really be a local area expert and understand what their intentions are, their motivations are, and how that fits into your market. And then from there, educating them on that and narrowing down what they're looking for. I always tell my buyers that they're going to fall into one of three categories. And this was really beneficial during, you know, just the past year where we had crazy, you know, over asking, you know, no appraisals, this and that. And one of the things I said to them is, look, you know, homes that are going on the market, they're coming off rather quickly, and you're going to fall into one of three categories. Either you're the person who wants to be here and look at everything, touch everything, smell everything, and, you know, the house comes on the market on Monday and you can't get on a plane until Friday and that home is gone. You can be that person. I don't challenge you to not be that person, and understand that it's going to be a very challenging process. Alternatively, you have the people on the complete opposite side who are saying, hey, I looked at the photos online. I love the photos. I know I love the area. And again, if you're doing a good, an educational process on, hey, you know what Surfside Beach is, you know what Myrtle Beach is, this is in the area that you want, and you're comfortable writing offers sight unseen. Again, you know, not everybody's into doing that, but there are people who are. A lot of my clients end up kind of somewhere in the middle where they say, hey, I saw this online. I like it. Jay, can you go out at your earliest convenience, do a video tour for me? And for me, you know, a lot of people want to do FaceTime. I've even had clients say, well, FaceTime me when you get there. Our cell phone service isn't always that great. You know, we go out once, you're doing the FaceTime, we leave and, oh my gosh, I have a question about the bathroom. Well, we already left. So typically what I'll do is I'll go and create a video, which frees up my time because it's on my, you know, my schedule only. I don't have to worry about me, the seller, the buyer, the buyer's husband or wife, all being on the virtual call. I'll go out, do a 5-minute video, very thorough, upload it to Google Drive, save it, send it to them so they can review it, they can rewind it, they can share it with friends and family. And that often gives them the sense of comfort where they're saying, hey, you're on the ground, you know, we're going to have an inspection. You know, it's where we want to be. We feel comfortable. And I think that's probably just one of the key things that I've offered and have explained to clients, to really make it successful and easy for them so that they're not missing out because of logistic issues. And, you know, they're feeling comfortable because you're giving them those options and letting them know that they are going to fall into one of those categories or transition from category to category. You know, I've had people who say, I do want to be there for every showing. Then they lose out 2 or 3 times and they say, okay, never mind. How about you go do a video for me, Jay? And then they say, you know what? Even then it's too challenging. And, you know, hey, how about a 3D tour through Matterport? You know, if they've got one on the listing, did you see that? Oh, I didn't see that. Send them the link. And oftentimes that's been good enough for my clients. So just kind of going the extra mile, reducing the burden on them and, you know, getting out there for them, which is also, again, more convenient for you because you only have to worry about your schedule versus their schedule.
And I think that I would like to piggyback off of that because we're so much alike in our areas. And You know, for us, it's right now, it's like, I haven't had a client in person in what feels like 6 months because we do a lot of Zoom. I mean, I had someone in town 2 weeks ago and I was like, this is so great. I get to see people.
Yeah.
But, you know, so buyers want to make sure they have an agent they can count on, especially in a market where we're very transient. People are coming from all over to purchase investment property because a lot of what I am selling is going to be that investment property. So they want to make sure someone's going to get out there and take that video and send it to them right away so they're not missing the opportunity. One thing that we do on our team and what I've been having the other agents underneath me do is when that property hits the market, we have a group chat and like, hey, is anyone going to see the house? It just listed in Corolla, semi-oceanfront. And they're like, no, you know, and then somebody panels up and they go, all right, let me go ahead and take a live video. And then we just start shooting out to the database and anyone that might fit that criteria, because they might not have known that they needed that house. And I've closed a couple of deals that way where it's not a live in-person showing. And the other thing that we do with our Zoom is even if they are like a FaceTime, they're in person, we schedule at 10 o'clock, we get in there, we record that Zoom with that person so they can go back and share it with their significant other or any other investors in the group so that we're not, you know, delaying, trying to manage schedules and miss any opportunities. Another thing that we're doing it, you know, on our team is we're researching the investment to the full potential. I know that Jay and I were talking a lot about this in the beginning when we jumped on, but how can we take these rental properties that might have been built in the 80s or early 90s, and how can we increase their rental potential and make them better? And so we're doing a lot of that for our clients. We work really close with a lot of management companies to figure out, you know, if I made a couple of changes, what can I increase this rental potential to? How am I going to get more renters in here? And so, you know, just at the end of the day, for us, we just want to make sure that we're providing a service for our buyers that is setting us apart and, you know, having them feel like we're really in their pocket for them. And like Jay said, we're boots on the ground. You know, if a house lists, I'm like, all right, when can I get in there the fastest? So.
Love that. Anybody else? Anything else to add?
I'll add something really quick. Just a small thing I like to do to take off my buyers' shoulders is in Charlotte, just like y'all's market probably, a home can go up for sale on Zillow on Thursday and can be fully booked the entire weekend within an hour, if they even allow showings. So what I like to do is once I find my buyers, you know, once I know their needs and wants, I'll look for them. I'll book the appointment, the day, the time, so I can text them and say, hey, look, this came on the market. I already have a date and a time. Can you meet me there? That way it takes out the stress, the thinking, the searching, the day, the time. It's just done for, and I hand them a time on a plate. And if they say, hey, look, we love the house, but can we push the time back? Usually I can do that very quickly. So I've been getting in the habit of knocking that out for them so they can stress and think less and just meet me at a property.
So you're being proactive because you've taken the time to have an understanding of what a perfect house would look like for them. And so, you know, this is on the market, let's go ahead and schedule it.
Yeah, it's somewhat of a pet peeve of mine. I know everyone's different, but I don't like buyers sending me properties. I like to be proactive, let them know I'm searching on their behalf every day. So I go one step above that and I go ahead and book the appointment for them.
Can I jump in as well on something else you just said? Would that be okay?
Oh yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. When you're talking about being proactive, actually, I have my notes here. And I didn't even think to put this on there, but you just triggered a thought that I had. One thing that I've recently implemented in my business are golden letter campaigns for buyers who, you know, I have a little story here. I have a set of buyers who are looking in 3 particular neighborhoods. They're on the Intracoastal Waterway. They're really desirable communities, fairly high price point communities, and the inventory is really low. So A, I'm supposed to be doing my job for my buyers and finding them a property. And B, if I can tie that into potentially gaining listing opportunities, that's really a win-win. So I've used these golden letters where they're targeting communities where my buyers are looking, or maybe usually I have a specific buyer, but if I say, hey, I've got a group of investors and I know this area is a good place to invest, sending out these very personal letters that say, hey, you know, I know that you get a ton of, you know, marketing materials from other people. I'm reaching out with an actual need. I have buyers who are looking for X number of square feet, X number of bedrooms at this price point, and they're looking in your neighborhood. If you've ever thought about selling your home, I'd love to have a conversation with you. And, it's a very passive way to lead generate, and yet it's really been successful for me. You've got inbound phone calls. You can create relationships with these people. I've gotten buyers under contract by doing so. And hey, even if it's not a match for your buyer, you say, hey, 123 Main Street got back to me and they're open to selling their home. And they say, well, that's really not a fit for us. Well, that's okay, because that's a listing opportunity for myself.
And to piggyback on Jay, if I may, as I said, we specialize a lot in horse properties and equestrian and luxury as well. But I think that like attracts like, and I know that for us with our buying pool, for the most part, not only do we specialize, but we're really networked. I mean, I think that the other agents are sometimes your best resources of the relationships that you've had for years or a short period of time. But you want that core group of agents that when you do have that buyer, that with the inventory being so low, you can reach out to those agents and say, hey, what do you have coming up? Or as we do, we go into the marketplace, and like you're saying, Jay, we make those calls and saying, hey, I've got this amazing buyer and they're ready to go. Would you consider, or what's your make you sell price? I think that, you've got to go deeper in this marketplace with the lack of inventory and really being a specialist. And I think that for new agents, especially, find an area that you are most comfortable in and start there, and really try to specialize and be an expert at something, and then branch out from there so that you can attract those people that your comfort zone is. Anyway, but yeah, I think that dig deep is the
That's
key.
such a great, yeah. And I think it's what could come of it is a listing. Yes. And you're showing your buyers that we don't just wait for the right property to come on the market. We're doing really due diligence and everything we can to find what's perfect for you.
And the sellers, like Jay was saying, I mean, by really boots on the ground and trying to reach out, I think they feel that you're really working the industry, and that you're resourceful and you're trying to do the right thing by your buyers and clients, and you're proactive.
Yeah. So I want to jump into, because we're talking about the market, and maybe if we had been having this panel maybe 3 or 4 months ago, homes might be sitting for 7 seconds, where they might be sitting for 7 hours now. It's changing just a little bit, but it's still really a fast-paced moving market in really almost everywhere in our region. So what steps are you taking, and what actions are you doing right now to pre-qualify any buyers that you're working with? And especially in this market, why is that important? And Teresa, I see you nodding your head. So if it's okay, can I just go to you first?
Sure. So one of the things that I think we really specialize in is the buyer consultation. We have a pretty thorough brochure. We have a lot of vendors that we recommend, who we know are going to get the job done, who have competitive rates, who will dig deep and close in 3 weeks if they need to. The buyer consultation to me is the most important thing for any buyer in any market, but especially in this market. When we dig in, and our area is still, even though we're experiencing like the vacation lull right now, which is pretty normal in our area. As soon as school gets out, it's like boom, everybody's gone. I don't think, and we are seeing some more days on market, but that's pretty like cyclical for us. So Winston-Salem is a little behind the big areas like Charlotte and Raleigh, where we've seen prices increase quicker. So we're still definitely, we're experiencing a little shift, but I still think we're very much in the could be multiple offer, could be appraisal gap, all of that. So we go deep on pre-qualifying them through the loan process, finding any option that will work for them if we know they're going to be in a tough spot, making sure that they understand that if you have 20% down and you don't think you have any additional money to pay an appraisal gap, what that looks like, how you can finesse that, making sure they talk to their lender to have options there. We spend a lot of time on, wants and needs, so that we can circle back to that every time we need to, keep them on track when they get discouraged. I do not recommend showing a bunch of houses that aren't on their want and needs list, because it discourages them, and they're making offers on things they either can't afford or aren't quite right for them, so they're not going to be fully invested in it. So really, that number one thing for us is the buyer consultation and making sure they know exactly what they are getting into step by step the whole time. And we never drop that line of communication. And I'm not sure if I got off on the wrong,
No, that's
because
perfect.
I'm so passionate about the buyer consultation.
Yeah,
Hope that
no,
answered the question.
we can tell that was perfect. Yeah, I think it's so important. And thank you. That's really great advice that you gave. Can I jump? Kamisha, I saw you maybe like leaning in to maybe say something. So I'm going to jump to you next.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with Teresa because I am that girl that loves those buyer consults. If we're not able to meet in person, then we can do Google Meet, Zoom, FaceTime, but we definitely have to have those conversations, especially with the market and the way that it has been for the past, I would say 2-3 years. They need to fully understand the market. They need to know that I am the expert, and my job, of course, is to help them find a home, but not only find a home, but just educate them during the process. So we definitely try to set those expectations up front, build that relationship, just so that we can have a smooth transaction moving forward. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I think also setting the expectations. I think that as Jay was discussing, like to help them better understand the process and the choices they have in the matter. If they can't make it to come see the home, are they comfortable proceeding as this? And again, like Teresa said, preparing them that there may be an appraisal gap, and so they have an opportunity to digest this information and to kind of prepare themselves so that it's not the moment of stress. They've already given it some thought. They might have reached out to a family member or how comfortable they are going above the list price. And what if the market should shift? Are they prepared to either maybe be in a different position with the leveraging of their house? And are they going to move soon? And, you're asking more questions so you can really help them and advise them make the best decision for themselves so that when and if the time comes, they've given it thought.
Could I jump in on that? I think I might sound like I'm repeating what everyone else is saying, but I think
No,
we all have
please.
a different perspective of the same
Yes.
thing, right? And the one thing that I like that everybody said is, digging in a little bit deeper. Before it was, hey, what's the location? What's the price? What's your motivation?
Yep.
Okay, great. That sounds good. You're ready to buy a house. And yet I think what we really need to do in the beginning during this pre-qualification process is not only asking the client, what's important, what's your purchase price, all of those things, but saying, hey, when we get to the point of writing an offer, here's what that might look like. Because, I think we get so excited about, hey, let's get out there and show them a home. They love it. Okay, let's write the offer. And like you said, we start talking about appraisal gap coverages, or is there additional money down, or, does the appraiser have a bad day? And if they do, and we come in $5,000 short, are there funds that are available? Because a lot of times, when you have that initial contract conversation with somebody, the day that you're writing the contract, some things might come up that they say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Or, I really only had enough money for my closing costs. I don't know if I can do X, Y, and Z. And, setting the expectations and having the success in the setup is really important. And I think identifying those potential obstacles and ways to overcome them will set you apart. And it's not going to be a shock to your client when those things come up, or when they potentially are in that multiple offer situation that if they lose out because somebody did do X, Y, and Z and we didn't. Having those conversations up front will help avoid that, I think.
Well, and let's talk about the inspection for a minute here. A lot of this, people have overpaid or have won the house, and all of a sudden some issues come up with the inspections. And instead of we maybe agreed to doing it as is, or some escalation of, or whatever have you. And then the last thing we've also had is that, it used to be that someone could have a home sale contingency as long as it was under contract. Well, now, you've got to go back to, if most of our buyers are also sellers, and if they're coming from, West Coast or whatever, it's a very different market, and you don't know the agent. And, you have to do your due diligence as an agent these days to help prepare your buyers so they're as attractive to their potentially new seller in the situation, in the transaction. And, so you've got to ask a lot of questions and get the answers so that you can also be prepared and prepare them, especially these inspections. I don't know about you all, but, there's a lot of layers that are going on these days, and our contracts just changed to being just the due diligence and such. So in any event, we've got to be better at what we have done in the past.
I really leverage my my lender partners. I like to have them set up a conversation right after my consultation or first meeting. Some people get weird when I ask budget and ask, have you spoken to a lender yet? So typically now I say, did you set your budget or did a lender set your budget? Because they have a big say in how much you can really spend at the end of the day. So if they say, that's my budget, I say, well, let's get a concrete budget. And that way we can find out where we can really begin our home search, because their budget might be 450, but when they speak to a lender, it could really be 400 or 600. So after our first consultation, I make sure they make a phone call directly to my lender. So there's no gray area. They know exactly what their budget is and, appraisal gap, et cetera. So it's all taken care of after day one.
I think,
Go
go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna real quick. I think being the expert in your market is huge, and setting those expectations is number one, because you are the expert, getting them from contract to close and really understanding their motivation, their goals, getting them pre-qualified to understand if you can actually achieve those goals for them. Because, in our market, with it being the investment market, they may think that they want to buy $1 million house, but is that actually an achievable goal based on what their financial status is and what it's going to take to get that house across the finish line?
I what I'm hearing, like, just in different ways from all of you, is you all have found out, as we all know, that nobody likes surprises. And so no buyer likes to fall in love with the house and then suddenly realize that, oh, I have to also pay that, or this has to happen, or what does the inspection even mean? And so by you having these conversations with them during the buyer's presentation or pre-qual, whatever we want to call it, I would imagine that, number one, they feel more comfortable and it's less surprises. I would also imagine that they felt the customer service that you were bringing them from the very beginning, which ideally is going to lead to more repeat and referral business for you from these buyers that you're representing. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So Bob wrote in chat, he had an aha. Did you set your budget or did a lender help you set it? So we've got a nice little aha there. If you guys are making some notes, maybe jot that down. That's really good. Let's talk about, we want to stay kind of talking about and chatting about the market that we're in. And raise your hand on the panel as well as in the class if you have had a buyer in the last 12 months that's got beat out by another buyer. Raise your hand if that has happened to you. Yeah, I would imagine we like raise all of the hands, right? Everybody is raising that. We're just in a different market where, previously, like, no contingencies, over asking, all cash, like that would have won 10 times. And now we're in a different place. And so what I'm really excited to hear from all of you, and whoever wants to jump in first, feel free, is how are you overcoming buyer reluctance in this market? So how are you overcoming buyers that are saying, I don't want to do it anymore. I think maybe we're going to rent, or there's no house out there for us, or we keep getting beat out, and they're just getting really discouraged, and it's leading maybe into reluctance. How are you handling that? Whoever wants to jump in first.
I can go
I don't wanna-
if you want. Don't want to talk over anybody.
That's okay.
So I think the number one way that we handle buyer reluctance is knowledge and authenticity. Sometimes it is absolutely not the right time for somebody to buy a house. We don't ever push anybody in a direction that they can't go in. I have been known to say, I really think, looking after the buyer consultation, that this is probably not the right market for you. But if you want to move forward, we're going to full steam ahead. But I think, let's talk to a lender. Let's get you where you need to be, counsel them in the way that they need to be counseled. But if it is the time, then, what I have found is, one thing, don't show them every single house they want to see that they can't. Like, do not set them up to fail. Just keep with the bullet points from the consultation of what they really want. I have some buyers that want to see locations all across the spectrum, when that they want to be within 10 minutes of this place or this place. And it's like, the more they spiral out of control from their original plan, the more likely they are to fall into this, doomsday, this is a terrible market, I'm gonna have to end up renting and all of that. So for us, like, being that person that will speak the truth no matter what it is, and they know that I'm authentic and I'm not just trying to get the sale from them, is the number one way that I overcome buyer reluctance. And then also being so knowledgeable about the market and interest rates and the lulls. Like, some people can't buy in spring market, but they can buy during vacation time, like we're seeing now, when things pop up and it's not 20 people you're fighting against, it's 5. So really, like, zoning in on ways and being creative with how they can overcome some of the concerns they're having in the market.
That's a great point. Thank you. I think, Jay, did I see you maybe lean in to say something?
Yeah, I think it's, again, we all kind of keep saying the same thing, and I think that just shows, how great of a panel that we have here. It's really understanding your buyer's motivation and what's important to them. I've had situations where, I'm working with a client for months. I actually have a client we put under contract last week after 9 months of working together. And, she goes, oh, well, I don't know if I want to go this much over. And I'm like, we're fighting about $2,000, and understanding her motivation that, hey, you're moving here because your son's going to go to school here. You've indicated to me that your lease is up in August. You need somewhere to be. This checks all of the boxes. For $1,000, are you willing to give that away? And then, we progress past that and say, you know what, how about we put the offer in? But I don't really like the color of the walls, or I don't like this. And it's one of those things where you kind of have to peel away the onion and say, I understand on the surface, you don't like that the countertops are quartz instead of marble. But, after 6 months of this process, this checks off all the boxes. Are you willing to give that up over these things? Or what does your situation look like if we don't find a home by the time your lease is up? And, going back to understanding your market, I have people say, oh, well, you know what, I'm just going to rent. And again, I don't really work a lot with rentals, but I do know what's going on in the rental market. So I can say, hey, in all of Horry and Georgetown County, which Horry is a huge, huge county, there are 10 rentals under $3,000 a month. How does that look for you financially? And if you do enter into an agreement where you're renting for a year and paying $3,000 a month, you've just, decimated your bank account out of $36,000, which was more than you were going to put down on a house anyway. And again, not that you need to be their therapist or push them in a way. I like what Teresa was saying, is you never push anybody, but they're trusting you and your advice. And sometimes they just need you to give them a different perspective and have them answer the questions themselves.
Totally agree. Our rental market has evaporated.
Yeah.
I mean, given the market that we've had for the last 2 years, I myself had a duplex and someone gave me a really good price. It wasn't on the market. And so they all just sold. So, and similar to what Jay said, the rental rates in our community, the desirable areas and the homes, everything else that they would wish to live in exceeds that of which, even with the interest rates climbing. And I think similar to what Teresa said as well, is, you never pressure anyone. I think that you give them the information from which they can make the best decision for them, and then let them assess that, but then continue to communicate with them, because there will come a time when reality hits. And if you're not the person who's top of mind, you heard that they bought a house from somebody else. And so, whether it be the automatic drips or the periodic touching base or whatever, because, I think we all hit the point that it's just too much, I mean, and they're frustrated. They've lost out on some things. And so they just have to regroup, take a deep breath, and then move on again. And maybe once another house comes on the market, hey, why don't you take a look at this or something, but to re-engage them, but to keep them involved. We are therapists, I think, and more often than not. But
Yeah.
Sometimes it's diving back into their original motivation and just, asking more questions around that and be like, don't forget why we started. And this was your original motivation and goal, and educating them that, yes, we can make that happen. It might take some time, but it's there and we will get it done.
Can I jump back in with one thing that
Please.
I forgot to talk about. My biggest buyer reluctance, I think, has been with sellers that, are interested in selling and either downsizing or moving up, but they're afraid of selling their house and not having anywhere to go. So that has been where we've really hey, have you considered a HELOC? Have you considered a bridge loan? Educating sellers on what they can do to buy first so that they feel comfortable selling and getting that equity out of the house now while they can. That's become a little more difficult with the rates now, because people that are locked in at that great rate really don't, when they start seeing what that really looks like to move up, it's a little harder. But that has been the thing that we've really honed in on during this time, is really knowing the ways that a seller can buy first, and so they can be really more comfortable about selling.
That's a really great point. Yeah, thank you I'm just hearing you're all just so knowledgeable in different things. And I think it's sharing that knowledge with buyers and never pushing them, but you're kind of just saying, here are all the options. I'm comfortable with whichever one you're most comfortable with. Just kind of let me know which path, and then share, to your point, really the importance of, you might have thought this would be a buyer in the next 30, 60 days, and then they potentially turn into a buyer, but now we're maybe 6 months out, and making sure that we have some sort of smart plan or something that's running that we're using with them, so that you don't see on social media 6 months later them in front of their new house smiling with another agent, because we've all experienced that and it's not the best feeling. Let's talk about the fun stuff. So you had a closing today, let's say maybe with a buyer. I know a lot of you run your business primarily off of repeat and referral business. So what does that post-close system look like so that you are staying top of mind with any previous buyers that used you on the buy process? And you can get as specific and granular as you would like to, or just kind of give us that high viewpoint. So what does it look like that when they need to use an agent again, or they need to refer an agent, we can ensure that they're coming to you? What systems do you have for that?
Well, this is definitely part of my thing, because I'm huge on referrals, agent referrals, past client referrals. And I always say most of my clients, they are like family and they become really great friends. But I make sure that I definitely stay in contact with them. Definitely a lot. I do a client appreciation event. I actually started this year that I'm definitely going to continue. But I stop by, I call nonstop, I text just to check in. If it's been a year or two, I'm sending out a text, hey, how are you guys doing? Do you need anything? Like in the beginning, I used to work with only buyers, and everybody always would say you needed to list to last. I don't know how how you're doing it, Kamisha. And then all of those buyers became sellers because I made sure that I stayed in contact with them. I recently went to a listing appointment and the husband called and he was like, Kamisha, before you come, please bring your husband. Like we need to have dinner. I love your husband, but we just definitely try to build that relationship so that we stay on top. Well, we stay top of mind at all times. So I'm just all about building that relationship with clients for sure. And they will call you back. Trust and believe.
What type of client appreciation event did you do?
I did it here at the office in the parking lot. We had a food truck, 2 food trucks, a bouncy house. Yeah, it was pretty simple for about 2 hours.
That's
but
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. What else? What else are you guys doing to make sure that you stay top of mind?
Yeah. One of the benefits of being on a team is we have a ton of processes in place for post-close. We have gifts, we set up, and after that, we set up quarterly gifts. Every 3 months, we send out a note with another gift. We do client events as well. We just had one a couple weeks ago. It was a picnic in the park. We try and mix it up because we have families, we have younger folks. Some we'll do at bars and restaurants. Some will do in the park, like I mentioned. We like to make sure that we stay on top of the neighborhoods that our buyers close in. So if we see a great comp or a great sale, we got to make sure we text that to them and say, congrats on your purchase 2-3 months ago. Because a lot of folks nowadays, they're stressing out. They got the home, but they're like, man, did I overpay for it? So when you send them a higher comp, they love it. They're excited about it. But yeah, like Kamisha, just staying top of mind, sending out text, letters, and client events. So it's not a science. It sounds super easy, but you'd be surprised how many folks don't do it. So
I've oh, sorry, somebody gonna talk? One thing that I do, and it's not, it's the same things, the reaching out, the calls, the texts, the cards, hey, here's a copy of your settlement statement, in December, January, as they're preparing for their taxes, so they can remember, well, what did I pay? What is all this? But one of the things that I think is pretty unique that I do in our market, specifically with my investors, short-term rental investors, is I keep a repository of all of those properties. I know they're on Airbnb, I know they're on VRBO. And when I have family from up north that says, hey, I need a place to stay, saying, hey, well, what are you looking for? And kind of looking at those short-term rentals that my clients, I've sold them these properties. Why wouldn't I also want to make that connection and help their business out? I moved my brother here about a year or two ago. I can't remember now. And he had a job transition, and there's a 2-week gap between when his home closed and when he came here. And we actually got him in an oceanfront condo that I had sold somebody. So it's one of these things where your relationships, you're helping family, you're helping friends, and you're helping your past clients by reaching out and saying, hey, that beautiful condo that I sold you, I know that you remodeled it. It looks amazing. I might have somebody who might want to stay in it. Would it be okay if I shared your information with them? Because now you're providing value to their current business. And the next time they go to buy another investment property, they're going to reach back out.
We have a lot of, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
We have a lot of people coming in from out of town, West Coast, everything else. And so a lot of them are transitioning and not really knowing a lot of other people. So we too do a lot of the client appreciations, introductions. We invite them, like I'm at the SBCA, a board member there, and we do yappy hours. And so, they can bring their dogs, and a lot of people are there, their children are already grown. So they do different events, or we do like client appreciation, and we sponsor a lot of events for the horse shows and events, but we invite a group of people, because a lot of people like to attend these things, even though, or steeplechase or a golf outing or whatever it might be activity wise, but we also do a preferred vendor kind of partnership. And so we might have our lender, inspector, septic, whatever, we might have any one of this. And it's great though, because then they refer us business, because we're incorporating them into our kind of network of our family. I think, Teresa, you said you have many of your preferred vendors that, really do give your clients good customer service. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we get all the time, as you all I'm sure do as well, where do I get my hair done? What's a good restaurant for this? I've got family coming in town, they got children. We want to be the resource, right? We want to be the expert of the community, get involved in, whether it be a charity or religion or whatever it is, whatever your thing is, get involved, give back to the community. And those people, I think, are very appreciative, and therefore look to you as also a family member. They trust you, and that's what it's all about, I think.
Yeah.
So for what we do here, we're actually kind of streamlining our post-close, because there's a lot of things that we just do naturally, and we want to systemize it a little bit better. Just before closing, a lot of our vendors have been reached out for inspections to quote remodels or repairs on some of these investment homes. So, just before we're closing, we're trying to set that up for our buyer to really streamline it, make it easy when they close, so they don't have to think hard about it. Then we try to, if it's in a rental program, we'll ask if we can promote their property. We do have our team Facebook page, and then we have a private group that we lead. It's called For the Love of the OBX. So if anyone wants to join, we invite all of our sellers and buyers to it, and we give a lot of value around the things that are happening in our community. Maybe some fun history facts, and just kind of keep all of our team face of mind, because we all take a different day. We have different things that we're good at. I love food and beverage, so I'm always sharing the specials or different events around town, the farmers markets. We do live videos, we interview companies, just kind of giving some content that's really good to our previous buyers and sellers. And then we like to we have a lot of storms in our area. We get hurricanes, nor'easters. If there's a bad storm, we'll just call some of our clients that are maybe oceanfront. We know they're in a tough area. Hey, can I check on your property? We had one a few weeks ago, and I just so happened to be down in Avon, and bad nor'easter came through, and I called the previous buyer and I said, hey, I'm down here checking on another home. You want me to check on yours for you as well? I know it's a Sunday turn. And they were like, absolutely. So glad you called. We want to sell our house. And so that relationship-based business is, that's what we do. We work in a relationship-based business. So just staying in front of your client is definitely what you got to do. So, but yeah, and anything that they had touched on as well, as far as stuff that might pop up for a previous buyer as a new listing. Hey, this one just came up. It's right down the street from you. Did you have any interest in, knowing what your property might be worth? And that sometimes creates a lot of business as well.
We also do client events. We do 4 client events a year, and we partner with vendors on those, and we always try to do it at a local place. We do a lot of sponsorship for local events, public radio, everything we can to stay really local. We focus on that, and we try to do the same event every year so that more and more people, they talk about it, they get other people out. And we also do follow-up emails after closing for reviews. We really go in hard for reviews. We earn them, we know we do, and promote, really stay connected. A lot of our business is referral business. I would say 75% is relationship based. So like everybody said, that's what you have to do. You just have to stay in front, and having those vendor partners that will sponsor you because you give them business, so you can really have an amazing client event with their help.
So I see we've got a question in the chat. Anybody that's on the call, if you guys have questions that we haven't answered, feel free to drop those in the chat. I've got one final question that I'll ask, and then we'll go through those. And I'll just kind of pick you guys in random order for the final question, which is, what one piece of maybe additional advice would you give to an agent that's going to be working with buyers? And it could be something that you just want to really hit that point home again, or is there something that we've missed? One little piece of advice, and I'll actually start with Brett, if that's okay. I'll start with you first on this.
Yeah, I guess a little piece of advice. It's nothing concrete, but just something I've experienced. Working with buyers, it is not 100% of what you see on social media. The pictures of the closing table and all that. Behind the scenes, it is a ton of work, but it is 100% possible. I mean, every market center we work at, there are a ton of successful agents, but behind the scenes, they are putting in the work 7 days a week. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it just doesn't happen overnight. If you do the processes, you talk to your team leader and people that are successful in the office, you will get there. It just won't happen overnight, and it's not going to look as glamorous as it does, on the computer or TV.
Yeah.
At first.
It's not all HGTV, is it? Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Brittany, I'm going to jump to you next. What one piece of advice?
Well, so I actually have a lot of bullet points, but I'm a high D, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But, the one thing that I really learned over the last few years is knowledge is confidence, and confidence is power. And it allows you to be powerful in your business if you are confident in yourself, and you gain confidence when you gain knowledge. I like to make sure we do full transparency. Consistency is key, and do what you say you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it, because they are interviewing you, the buyers. You're interviewing them, but they are definitely interviewing you, because there are a good handful of agents in your area that they could choose to work with.
Great point. Teresa, I'm going to jump to you next.
I would say, and one thing we haven't talked a lot about is the operational side of working with buyers. It might not be your strong suit, might not know that until you get really busy. It's definitely easier as you're getting started to handle one thing at a time. But by the time you have 4, 5, 10 buyers, you have to have your systems in place, or it's going to start really hurting your client service. So I guess my best advice is make sure that you either get help or you grow your business along with your production, so that you don't think you have to do everything by yourself. Get a showing partner if you need one. People in the office can show for you. Some of them are more than happy to show for you for $25 an hour or whatever. But don't try to do it all by yourself and longer than you should, because that's when you're going to hurt that business. You're going to drop clients because it's going to get overwhelming. And stay on top of your appraisals.
Great point there. Cher, I'm going to drop to you next. So your one piece of advice.
If my team is watching, hearing, or anything, database. I've been in it for 38 years. And if I had been better, more thoughtful, fastidious about gathering, keeping information, keeping in touch, putting them on drip campaigns, blah, blah, blah. And let's face it, all of us someday, the only thing we have is our systems and our name and our reputation. And if you're ever going to want to sell your business, have the systems in place. And like, for instance, even though I love my name, thank you, my family, Sharon Dale, if I had hindsight, like I never really intended when I started way back when to build a team. I don't know that if Sharon Dale ever wants to step out of the picture, that it's great that it's the Sharon Dale team. So be thoughtful of where you want to go and start putting things into place now as to when you do get there, that you can step away and it's what you want to create. So be really thoughtful and long-term, do your, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year projections, but database, and keep it and massage it. And it's all about relationships, guys. Everyone can buy leads, but on the end of the thing, they did business with you. They liked you. They would want to do business with you again. So stay in touch.
So true. Database. It's a good one. Kamisha, I'm going to jump to you next.
For me, I would say follow up, become the local expert, and do not be a secret agent. Of course, I've been in the business for 5 years, but I have shirts that have my name on them. I wear my name tag, like everywhere you go. Everybody should know that you're a real estate agent and should be the local expert, because I hear agents say, well, I don't have any buyers. I don't have anything to do. You have plenty to do. You should know every neighborhood in your town, how many listings are in that neighborhood. Like, just know your stuff. And just know.
Perfect. That's great. And Jay, I'm going to end with you. What piece of advice would you add?
Oh boy. Okay. Pressure's on me. I took a more transactional approach to this. If we're really truly going to bulletproof our buyer's transaction, none of it matters unless they get to the closing table. And what I would say is know your contract in and out, know the tools that you have in place to use so that you're being creative, that you're standing out when it comes to the other buyers. If it's a multiple offer situation, reach out to the listing agent, find out what's important for seller. It's not always a fast close, cash close in 3 weeks. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can and using every tool in your tool belt so that your buyer is prepared for success, and set those expectations early. Say, this is what the process looks like from start to finish, and here's how we're going to get there, and here are the tools that we have in place. And together as a team, we're going to implement these things, and we're going to make sure that you get to the closing table. So just be ready for anything and have a plan to overcome those obstacles before they even happen.
Perfect. Love it. Well, I don't know. I've been taking some notes just throughout this. This was really great stuff, you guys. So thank you to everyone. Want to be respectful of everybody's time, and we're almost at 12 o'clock. So those of you that attended, and a lot of you changed your name to somebody's fan club as well. So we've got multiple fan clubs going on. So love to see that. But those of you that attended, just drop some love in the chat for these amazing panelists. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate all of you. We'll convert the recording hopefully today, and then we'll have that on the YouTube page by end of day today, hopefully. So if you couldn't stay for all of it or wanted to go back to anything, you'll be able to do that. So again, thank you guys so much for being here. We so appreciate you, appreciate your time, and have an excellent rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.